QIDI MAX3 promises true industrial 3D printing speeds at home. Either we have finally reached desktop factory territory, or we are staring at a very fast way to burn a pile of cash. On paper, it sounds insane. A massive 325 by 325 by 315 millimeter build volume, CoreXY motion system, Clipper firmware, up to 600 millimeters per second print speed, 20,000 per second squared acceleration, enclosed chamber, all-metal high-temp hotend, 120-degree heated bed, and auto-leveling. Basically, a mini print farm in one box. But here's the thing: specs are easy to print on a product page. Delivering them in the real world is a whole different game. I've put the direct link to check current pricing in the description. But before you click anything, let me show you what I discovered after 3 solid weeks of testing. So what does the QIDI MAX3 actually claim to do for you? In simple terms, give you fast, reliable, near-industrial quality prints at home without constant tinkering. The marketing promises things like 1. True high-speed printing up to 600 millimeters per second with stable quality. 2. Huge enclosed build volume that can handle ABS, ASA, nylon, and other engineering filaments without warping. 3. Out-of-the-box reliability thanks to Clipper, auto-leveling, input shaping, and tuned profiles. 4. Quiet, user-friendly operation with a big touchscreen and Wi-Fi control so you are not babysitting it all day. Sounds ridiculously good, right? A big, fast, enclosed workhorse that just works. But here's where things get interesting. Reality check. Let's talk about that 600 millimeters per second headline. They claim you can blaze through prints at those speeds. What you actually get, if you care about quality, is more like 250 to 300 millimeters per second for most real-world models. Here's why. Yes, the CoreXY motion system and Clipper firmware are capable of 600, and in a small calibration cube that is basically hollow, it will do it. But once you throw in infill, walls, bridges, and details, the limiting factor becomes the hotend flow rate and the plastic itself. At around 20 to 30 cubic millimeters per second of filament throughput, going full 600 on a big print gives you ringing, soft corners, and surface artifacts. Here's where it gets mathematically impossible. You cannot push that much plastic that fast over a giant bed and magically keep perfect quality. Physics does not care what the marketing page says. Next claim: massive, reliable enclosed printing. This part is actually closer to reality. The 325 by 325 by 315 build volume is legit, and the enclosure plus high bed temps do a solid job with ABS, ASA, and even some nylons. I ran multi-hour ABS prints that would have warped off an open bed printer, and on the Max3 they stayed planted on the textured PEI plate. But let's be real, edge-to-edge perfection is not happening. On super wide parts, I still saw some first layer inconsistency in the front right corner until I manually tweaked the Z offset and checked bed flatness. Several user reviews and Reddit posts echo this. Out of the box it is good but not magical. Expect a calibration session, not plug-and-play perfection. Then there's the claim of out-of-the-box reliability. They advertise everything pre-tuned with Clipper, input shaping, and a QIDI-branded slicer profile. What you actually get is a very capable machine that still needs a bit of human involvement. My first benchy on stock profiles looked fantastic for a high-speed print, around 20 minutes compared to an hour plus on a traditional ender. But a detailed figurine at aggressive speeds showed layer shifts and tiny artifacts until I slowed some outer walls and tweaked acceleration. Several Amazon reviewers mentioned the same pattern. Yes, it prints day one, but the best results come after learning Clipper and maybe moving to OrcaSlicer with community profiles. Finally, silent and user-friendly operation. Here's the plot twist. The motion is fairly quiet thanks to CoreXY, but the chamber fans and electronics make this more of a whooshing air purifier than a ninja. Not deafening, but definitely not bedroom silent. The touchscreen UI is simple, but QIDI's locked-down Clipper interface feels a bit closed compared to a fully open DIY setup. So, not a deal breaker, just don't expect whisper quiet sci-fi magic. Print speed and quality. Here's what nobody tells you. The Max 3's real superpower is not bragging about 600 millimeters per second. It's maintaining very respectable quality at 250 to 300. In my tests, functional PLA and PETG parts at 0.2 layer height came out clean in a fraction of the time my older Cartesian printer needed. Think a 6-hour print dropping to around 2.5 to 3. Details are a touch softer than a slow, ultra-dialed bamboo or Voron on some fine models, but for functional brackets, cosplay, and enclosures, it's a monster. The marketing doesn't mention that you will still want slower, 120 to 150 millimeter per second speeds for showpiece minis and statues. Enclosure and materials. Where this thing earns serious points is engineering filaments. The enclosed chamber, high bed temps, and stable CoreXY motion let me print ABS and ASA parts that would absolutely troll cheaper open-frame printers. Picture printing a large ABS duct overnight without a giant potato chip curl at the corners. That actually happened. But some users report occasional enclosure leaks and needing to tape small gaps for extreme materials like CF nylon. So yes, it can do it, but it is not a full industrial oven. Build quality and reliability. The chassis is solid, linear rails on all axes, direct drive extruder, tidy wiring. It feels more premium than the typical budget bed slinger. However, there are some red flags you should know. A few reviews mention misaligned rails from shipping, loose screws, and occasional clogged nozzles from poorly seated PTFE at the heat break. Nothing catastrophic, but you need to be comfortable with a hex key and basic maintenance. This is not tech roulette like some no-name dropship specials, but it is also not fire and forget. Software and ecosystem. Out of the box, QIDI's slicer is fine, but not amazing. The marketing doesn't really mention that the real magic happens when you switch to community-tuned profiles in OrcaSlicer or Cura. Once I dug deeper through multiple review sites and forums, it became clear. Advanced users unlock a lot more performance than a casual plug-and-play owner will. No obvious fake review spam here, but the official product page definitely cherry-picks the best-case scenarios. So, verdict time. Should you invest in the QIDI IMAX3 in 2025? My take: recommended, but only if you know what you are getting into. If you want a big, fast, enclosed 3D printer for functional parts, ABS, ASA, and you are willing to spend some time tweaking profiles, this thing is absolutely worth considering for the price bracket it sits in. You are getting serious hardware for roughly the cost of a mid to high-end consumer machine. But if you mostly print tiny PLA trinkets, hate tinkering, or just want a fully polished appliance, you might be happier saving your money for something like a bamboo lab with a more mature ecosystem. In short, powerhouse potential, not a toy. Use it like a tool, not a gadget. Stay savage out there. Thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive into the QIDI IMAX3. If this review saved you from wasting money or helped you find something actually worth buying, I've put the link to check current pricing and read more reviews in the description. And hey, if you do decide to buy through my link, it helps fund these investigations without costing you extra. Drop your questions or your own Max 3 experiences in the comments and tell me what printer you want me to dissect next. Make sure to subscribe so you do not miss the next teardown. And as always, question the hype and trust the tests.